Hi everybody, Kat here. Welcome to my channel. Well, the palace has faltered under a woke attack. This all stems from an incident that happened the other night. Queen Camilla was hosting an event around domestic abuse and the victims and what can be done. She hosted a big reception with charity leaders, charity organizers, high-profile people that are involved in this kind of work. Now, there's two main characters to this story. One is Lady Olivia Hussey, who had been a lady-in-waiting to the Queen for decades. She is now a companion lady. I don't know, they're not calling it lady-in-waiting, but she's now one of the women that's around Camilla to help and aid her in these kind of events and things. Lady Olivia Hussey. Pristine reputation, palace insider, absolutely trusted member of the palace staff for many, many decades. The other woman involved, and I'm not going to say her name because you can find it everywhere and you can look it up. I don't want to give her the attention that she seems to seek. Anyway, this black lady, who is a charity leader, was invited to the event. Little bit of background on her. She's been quite open in her opinions on her Twitter. She's pro-Meghan, believes all the racism crap that Meghan spews. She's anti-monarchist in her tweets. She has so much as called the monarchy racists. She's a wokey, folks. She's not a good person. So anyway, what ended up happening, they're at this reception, and Lady Susan Hussey goes up to her to engage in some chat. Now, it was most awkward, I suppose is the nicest way to say it. Apparently, this lady had her hair, her dreadlocks hanging over her name badge, so Lady Hussey couldn't see it. Now, keep in mind, she's over 80 years old. She's gonna be awkward. She doesn't know the woke word. She doesn't know what you're allowed to say and what you're not allowed to say. However, the first faux pas she made was moving this lady's hair out of the way so she could read her name badge. Nuh-uh. Never. You don't touch anyone. You don't move their hair. You just don't do that. And for somebody that's been around royal etiquette for that long, you'd think she'd have known that. I mean, that's one point the palace should mention to their staff. You don't touch anyone. But as far as I can see, that's the only mistake Lady Hussey made. Engaging in small talk, she went on to ask the woman, "Oh, well, where are you from?" Now, the lady in question had dreadlocks, a head turban thing, dressed in what you would say African culture kind of a outfit. And I don't mean to be racist or whatever, but I mean, just look at what she was wearing. On her website, she proudly proclaims her African heritage, mentions that her father made a really big deal about it so that she would know and understand her heritage, embrace the culture. They're proud of their heritage, and that's absolutely fabulous. But for somebody who will proclaim it and talk about it so freely, doesn't seem she's offended to talk about it. So Lady Hussey asks her, "Oh, well, where are you from?" The woman said, "London." Lady Hussey said, "No, really, where are you from?" And I mean, she's old, she's awkward. Maybe she did not ask the questions properly. Perhaps the palace has to talk to these ladies, what's good small talk, what's not, what you do, what you don't say. But I mean, I don't think she was race baiting. She wasn't being racist. She was just trying to engage in small talk, and obviously this woman was in a certain cultural dress, so it was interesting. Perhaps she wanted to know a little bit about it, engage this woman, whom on her website talks about this freely, but somehow this was a horrendously racist event that triggered her. I mean, over the top. Over the top. And as a result of this 2-minute awkward conversation, Lady Hussey has had to resign. The palace buckled. Oh my gosh, we can't tolerate racism in any way, shape, or form, and we're going to investigate this. Not only was the palace's response too quick, and they just rolled over. Shame on the palace for not understanding what's really going on with Meghan and Harry right now, and the race baiting that they're doing, and the wokey, lefty crap that's invaded every aspect of society. They never vetted this woman. How did she even get into the palace? If they'd have looked at her bio, if they'd have looked at her Twitter, they would have seen she had anti-monarchist sentiments. They would have seen that she had accused the monarchy of racism. This is a person you don't put on the invite list. So there's mistake number one. They're not vetting the people that they're inviting. I mean, sure. And here's the thing. Here's the mistake they made. Oh, black African heritage woman ticks a box. Invite her. That's inclusive. That's woke. And that's how we want to be. You can't. What they don't understand is these wokest people, they're looking for a fight. They talk about inclusion and tolerance. Well, we have to be inclusive and tolerance to them, but there's no tolerance from their side. If you don't believe their truth, their pronouns, their culture, their feelings, then you're wrong. There's no tolerance there. But this is a direction that especially now that Charles is king, and I've mentioned it before, that he's going to run into trouble catering to and pandering to the wokies. And him and William are both doing it with their whole climate change initiative. Because, see, it attracts the young people, and they want the young people. They want to grow a new group of monarchists, people that approve of what they're doing. So they're trying to cater to the dingbats. Climate change is one thing. But and then they, Meghan has stirred up all this false racism crap. And the lefties have been listening to her. I mean, what have we heard the last couple of years? Oh, colonialism and racism and slaves, and we gotta tear down statues and change the names of universities, and oh, don't talk about that. That triggers me, and we can't. They want to change history. They want to clean things up. They don't want to think about things. They want to erase history. History is a very important tool to learn from. If you understand history, you can change the future, but you can't just erase it because it makes you uncomfortable. And you can't demand of people that your truth is the only truth and they encounter you, and if it's awkward or they don't say the right words, then you can scream racism, or you can scream, a hate crime. Oh, she didn't call me by the right pronoun. It's gotten to the point where it's absolutely ridiculous, and you can't engage with these people because it'll always bite you in the ass. Because no matter how many concessions you give them, it's never going to be enough. Never going to be enough. And this is the mistake the Palace has made. They're trying to engage the little wokies. And that's good to a point. But they're always going to slip up. And when you get somebody like this that slips through the radar, a MEGHAN sympathizer, an anti-monarchist, somebody who's already tweeted that they think that, the monarchy is racist, when there's been no basis for any of this. And she gets into this reception. And if you look at the video of it and study the timeline and what she said, oh, I stood against the wall because nobody was talking to me. Bullshit. She was mingling. She had what looked to be an absolutely pleasant conversation with Camilla 10 minutes after this horrifying encounter ostensibly took place. Bullshit. She was there for one thing only, and that was to stir up trouble. And the Palace is buggered. They can't condone racism, although this is not a racist issue, but this is what it's being played out to be. And isn't it coincidental that this just happened while Kate and William are in the States? Appalling. This is Meghan behind it. This woman is a Meghan sympathizer. But the Palace, man oh man, they've got to realize what's really going on in the real world and how vulnerable they are. Their attitude, instead of accepting Lady Hussey's resignation immediately and saying, oh gosh, we got to launch an investigation, the Palace should have come out and said, of course we don't endorse racism of any kind. But Lady Hussey did not act in any kind of a racist way. Yes, the conversation was perhaps awkward, but she meant no harm. And the lady involved really should show some tolerance and understanding. And if there's any kind of a conversation that needs to be had, that's the tone of the conversation that needs to be had. Let's get a little bit of compassion and tolerance on both sides. So, in my opinion, the Palace dropped the ball on this one. And as long as they're going to buckle to the wokey agenda, thinking they can placate them, no, it's only going to get worse. It's going to get worse for Charles. He's going to find himself in such a bind. And like I've said over and over and over again, all of these scandals, all of these decisions, all of his actions, Charles isn't going to last 2 years. He's going to be drummed out of there. And we're going to be left with William to pick up the pieces. That's just my opinion. Like, subscribe, share this video if you think others would like it, and leave me a comment. I'd love to know what you're thinking. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye now.